Hello and welcome again to VW Feasts. Today, butter cake and tipsy plums. Yummy. Yes, and usually for us we are doing a dessert, so watch closely. First ingredients for your butter cake. You will need a greased pan, you will need egg yolks and an extra egg yolk for the wash, sugar and butter. And then for the plums, you'll need plums. Then we're going to make them tipsy with kheer, which is cassis and white wine, and more sugar. As you can see, this is a diet one. Right, onto the cake first, and these two elements obviously complement each other very well. You have the richness of the butter cake and you have the acidity and sharpness of the plums. Never serve one without the other. Right, into the flour goes the egg yolks. And you can see they're pretty tricky to get in. We have set up the Magimix the wrong way around. So the VW is having to do this left-handed, which is not a strength. So the wonderful Christmas present of a Bowden beater hasn't quite done the job, so let's go to, yes, a Bowden spatula. As long as it's Bowden, good. It's quite a warm day here, so some of these ingredients have got a little bit more than fridge cold, and they're becoming a little bit difficult to work with. Be careful that your eggs don't cook. Oh look, there you are, a reflection of me. Anyway, and also the butter is getting a little bit soft. You might want to leave yours in the fridge a little bit longer just so it's easier to use. In goes the butter. You might want to take a statin or some other anti-cholesterol medicine along with this. I think the VW is doing very well considering this is all the wrong way around. Sorry. As you can see, the butter, eggs and flour go together. We'll put that little egg aside for the wash. And then in goes the sugar, and this is going to form a sort of quite a crummy dough. Not crummy as in bad, but crummy as in made up of crumbs. There's no other liquid apart from the eggs in there, so it's a little bit more shorter, I think is the technical expression. As you see, that's starting to come together, and the VW just puts on the revs there just to make sure it's all perfectly blended. So why dessert, you say? Well, why not? Of course, we'd love to have chilies and garlic and noodles in here somewhere, but we have the plums. So there. As you can see, it now starts to move around as one block, and that's the sign that you're really ready. So let's open, and through the magic of intercutting, clear the bleater of mixture. So, mixture now goes into a greased tin. This is one of these wonderful ones with the sides that spring off. I'm sure there's a technical word for that, but anyway, that's the one it is. So the sides, you loosen a widget and it springs open so you can take it away from the base. So pressing it down, getting rid of any air pockets. We want this a nice firm solid lump. And having started to smooth our way with the spatula, then what we're going to do is we're going to rough up the surface again using a fork. This gives us all sorts of interesting nooks and crannies that the egg wash can go on. If you've got a spare pair of hands, remove the Magimix once you don't need it. And even the Magimix. See, I'm not just filming and narrating, I really help. Scoring all that, we've now got a sort of more nooks and crannies and serrations on there. It makes it more interesting. You don't want a completely smooth cake here. And then the egg, which unfortunately has got a little bit warm, but we'll just smooth that over to make a sort of egg wash over the surface. This will give it nice and golden. Then when we're ready, we will stick that in the oven. We've decided not to show you an oven shot this time because you know what our oven looks like. But here's it coming out. Fresh, smelling beautiful already. Here is the cooked butter cake. See, nice and brown, and what we'll do is just leave that to cool a bit so that we can then take off the spring thing. And up it goes. And now we'll very delicately put it onto the cooling tray. Now this is the tricky bit, trying to remove the quite dense and sticky butter cake from, even though it was greased, the base of our cake tin. So we'll use stabby things, just try and ease it off. I think everything's better with a nice knife. And see if we can get that onto there. It's definitely coming. I'm sure it is. Aha! Yeah, it's still a bit warm, that base. So the tea towel also helps grip when it's a bit greasy with the butter. There is an awful lot of butter in this recipe. And poof, there you go. So leave that just to cool down, and chef gets to try the cake, and it is beautiful. Now the plums. So in goes the white wine, followed by the cassis. This makes a kheer. A kheer royale, of course, is with champagne. We've extra sweetener with the sugar. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to dissolve the sugar into the white wine. Once that's bubbling nicely, we then add in the cassis to make our sugary kheer syrup. We get that all constituted, and then in go the plums to make them tipsy. Make sure it's all completely covered. We're just going to poach these plums for a short time. We don't want them going overly soft, but we want to get them nicely tipsy. So tipsy but not sozzled. Wonderful word, sozzled. So after those have been boiling for a bit, we're going to remove them from the poaching liquid and stick them aside just to cool down and stop the cooking process. Means they're a little bit softer. They're not as crunchy as they would be if they were fresh, but they still retain their shape. And textures are important. Delicately done. Perhaps you could use something else, some other sharp fruit. You could make a coulis with raspberries or something, but you want something sharp and bite that's going to complement the butter cake. See what's in season. We like Tipsy Plums. Then keep the liquor on the heat and reduce it down to make it more concentrated and stickier. And this is going to be our sauce to dress on top. As you can see, it's reduced down. This is a lovely and unctuous sauce now. And then it's just a question of plating up. So, there it is, the butter cake with plums and tipsy with the kheer sauce. Oh yes, and asleep. Enjoy.